6:05 here on AM 680 WRKO and now on 93.7 HD2. Good morning, Boston. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868. You can also text us, as always, 680-680. A lot to talk about today. But it is a tale of two states. A tale of two governors. While our own governor, Mini-Me, Diablo Patrick, tries to cater to the dear leader, is basically aiding and abetting the ongoing invasion of the United States by agreeing to accept another 1,000 Obama's illegal immigrants from Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, on top of the 9 plane loads that they already secretly dumped into Massachusetts and sent many of them up into New Hampshire. Texas Governor Rick Perry is taking a different approach. You see, when you're invaded, you call up the National Guard. When you're invaded, you stop the invasion. When you're invaded, you don't put up a bienvenuto sign, a come on down sign, come on in. You tell them, leave. No mas, no more. And so Governor Rick Perry saying that, quote, our citizens are under siege, end quote. That Texas and especially the border area is being turned, in essence, into a war zone. That the Mexican drug cartels, these human smugglers, these coyotes, who are carrying many of these unaccompanied minors, taking them from Central America all the way through Mexico and into Texas, charging $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a pop. Along the way, many of these unaccompanied minors now, according to multiple reports, are being brutalized. Many of them are being raped. Many of them are being beaten. Many of them are being forced to call their family members back home with a gun to the back of their head, or forcing other minors to put a gun to the back of their head, saying that if they don't send more money, they're going to kill that person or mutilate that person. At this incredible act of barbarism and lawlessness, Rick Perry finally says it is time to say enough is enough. And after repeated requests, now I want you to think about this, as his border, as Texas is being invaded and flooded, after he's been begging the President of the United States, please, we need more National Guard troops. We need more law enforcement. We need to start militarizing the border to deter all of these illegal immigrants from coming, to make a show of force to the Mexican drug cartels and to the human smugglers and to the gangs. The dear leader said, "Niet." Every request by Perry, "Niet." And so finally, unlike Mini-Me, who licks Obama's boots, the brown-noser Mini-Me, Diablo, Rick Perry has now said he will deploy up to 1,000 guardsmen, 1,000 National Guard troops over the next month. It will come straight out of Texas's budget, because the federal government doesn't want to do it. He has no choice but to step in and defend the sovereignty of Texas, the people of Texas, the interests and security of the citizens of Texas. And so now he is going to be placing 1,000 National Guard troops along the Texas-Mexico border. It is going to cost the Texas government an estimated $12 million a month. This thing is bleeding us on all sides. It's not just going to be bankrupting our budgets here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It's bankrupting Arizona. It's bankrupting California. It's bankrupting Arizona. New Mexico. It's bankrupting Texas. Now, why has Rick Perry decided to act? Okay, this is very, very important. And my friends, this is why this rally that Kuhner Country is going to be holding, spearheading this Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., July 26th, this Saturday, at the steps of the state capitol, at the steps of the State House. I will be speaking. The mayor of Lynn, Judy Kennedy, is now scheduled to speak. Shauna O'Connell was scheduled to speak. Leah Cole, a state representative, she is going to be speaking. Everybody now wants to speak at this rally. Why it's so important for all of you and your family and friends to show up is because this is the future, and I want you to listen very carefully. Tonight, I swear to you, God is my witness, I couldn't make this up if I wanted to. Illegal immigrant activists, La Raza activists, many of them connected to communist Marxist groups, hardcore Obama-style community activist groups, are going to be protesting in Lynn tonight. Not to stop the invasion, I swear to you, but against the mayor of Lynn, Judy Kennedy, for speaking out against the invasion. They're protesting the mayor. And what has the mayor done? Except say, we're at the breaking point. Our schools, literally, they're overflowing. Our hospitals are going bankrupt. Our healthcare clinics are going bankrupt. We're being overrun. I've got to hire social workers. I've got to hire teachers. I've got people 35, 40 years of age. They're passing off as a 17-year-old unaccompanied minor. We have people completely undocumented. We don't know if they're murderers. We don't know if they're rapists. We don't know what their criminal background is. And they're protesting her. And the spin that's being presented to you from Mini-Me, from Cardinal O'Malley, from all of these social justice religious leaders, from the Boston Globe, from much of the media, Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 7, it's about the children. I was a stranger in a land myself. Mini-Me. I was crying, and no, we have to accept the children. Like in Egypt, the scripture says we must accept the children. We. These are not children. Many of them, many of them are teenagers. Many of them are 18, 19, 20, 21, 23, 24 years of age. Some, as I said, as high as 35 or 40, passing themselves off as 17-year-olds. But more ominously, many of them are murderers, rapists, criminals, gangbangers, tied to the cartels. They're tied to MS-13. They even have 13 tattooed on their face. Jeff, how could you say something so inflammatory, Jeff? Where's your evidence? Okay, please listen to this. Listen to this. Texas State Senator Dan Patrick. He is now running for lieutenant governor in Texas. Okay, he's a Texas State Senator, Dan Patrick. This is straight from a hot tip to Breitbart.com. Has now said, citing official Texas government statistics, that there are now at least over 100,000 illegal immigrant gangbangers, just gang members, at least 100,000 illegal immigrant gang members just in the state of Texas alone. He says that these are official state government statistics from Texas, law enforcement statistics. You don't see Mini-Me citing these. You don't see Cardinal O'Malley citing these. You don't see the Dear Leader citing these. You don't see the Boston Globe citing these. From 2008 to 2012, just in those 4 years alone, 143,000 illegal immigrant criminals were arrested and jailed in Texas, just in Texas. And as he put it, quote, these were, quote, hardened criminals, gang members, and other criminals that we identified as being in Texas illegally. Now, listen to this, because this is what affects our children. This is what's coming our way. This is what we're going to be housing at Camp Edwards on Cape Cod. Okay, out in Bourne. This is what we're going to be housing potentially at Chicopee. This is what's going to be sent into the school systems of Chelsea and Lynn and Salem and Lawrence and Lowell and Peabody and Quincy and you name it, in Saugus, wherever. That's what's coming your way. Okay, members of Kuhner country. We charge them with, now listen to these statistics because they're mind-blowing, 447,000 crimes. 500,000 crimes in 4 years, just in Texas. This is what State Senator Dan Patrick, he's now running for lieutenant governor. He's citing official statistics. No one refutes this. No one refutes the official statistics. They can't. But he continues. Just in Texas, they were charged, as I said, with nearly 500,000 crimes just in 4 years, including over, listen to this now, 5,000 rapes and 2,000 murders. 5,000 rapes, 2,000 murders. He goes on to say, we estimate that we have 100,000 gang members here illegally just in the state of Texas. And he points out that he's been to these detention centers, these refugee camps all across Texas. He says many of these so-called young children, and he puts them in quotation marks, are actually teenagers who come even with parents and family members. He says that there are gang members among them, Mexican drug cartel members among them, MS-13 among them. He says there are even potential terrorists who are now exploiting the southern border as we speak. Is this what we need? Is this what we want? This is good for America? How is this not an invasion? Let me tell you what's going on. It's so obvious. I don't know why nobody wants to say it. The Mexican drug cartels, in an unholy alliance with the Mexican government, along with the governments of Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador, have essentially declared war on the United States. The Mexican drug cartels have essentially said, we're going to conquer the United States and invade them. And we're going to make a ton of money off of it in the process. $5,000 to $7,000 a head. Every child we bring up. And we're going to keep coming and coming. 90,000 this year, 160,000 more next year, and it's going to go on until the country's completely swamped. Until it's been conquered. Texas Governor Rick Perry is finally saying enough is enough. And my question to you is this. It's a double-barrel question, Boston, and members of Kuhner country. Is Rick Perry right to start putting the National Guard on the Texas-Mexico border, number one? And number two, is it time for us to do the exact same thing here in the People's Republic of Massachusetts and start putting our National Guard right on the border, sending them town to town, city to city, and send every single illegal home? 617-266-6868. Is it time to put the National Guard not just on the borders of Texas, but on the borders of Massachusetts? What do you say, Boston? 617-266-6868. 620 on the Great RKO. All of your calls. Next.
The National Guard's troops that I am deploying will support the state-led border surge by acting as a force multiplier on the ground and providing additional air assets beyond their current efforts. The price of inaction is too high for Texans to pay. Now, fortunately, we're already seeing results from Operation Strong Safety. From week 1 to week 3.
Go, Texas, go. 624 here on the great WRKO. Roy, you're up first. Thanks for holding, and welcome to the Kuhner Report.
Yeah, Jeff, don't get your hopes up too much about Rick Perry sending the Barney Fifes down there with their single bullet in their front pocket. Things are going to not be in force that strong down there. It's going to be like the Border Patrol. When they were shot at by the Mexicans, they were just told to stand down and not do anything, and that's what he's going to do with the National Guard. So this is really just another election year ploy. Don't expect them to be shooting the MS gang 13 members and the terrorists when they're coming across the border. It's not going to happen.
Roy, I'm just curious, why do you think it is we've had report after report that the Mexican members of the Mexican military, the Mexican drug cartels, have been shooting at our border, at our Border Patrol agents, people are getting killed, and we don't seem to shoot back?
Because that's why they're shooting at us, because they know America's become nothing but a nation of wimps. They know that. The whole world knows it. So they don't have to worry about that.
Thank you very much for that call, Roy. Good call. 617-266-6868. Mickey, you're up next. Thanks for holding, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, I completely agree with Governor Perry. And if you think it's going to happen here in Massachusetts, you're out of your mind.
No, I'm just calling for it, Mickey. Oh, please. I mean, we have the exact opposite problem. I don't want them housed in every family. That's pretty soon. That's going to be the future. Everyone will have to take one.
Absolutely, and it's about time the American worker stands up, because that's where you're being attacked. I work for a large major utility company, and in the past 2 years, they've hired, in my department of 75, they've hired 13 documented workers in a middle-class, high-paying job when they have guys sitting on the bench at Local 103. These are union workers. It's about time union workers wake up. It's supposed to be about the American worker and giving jobs to the American citizens, not people coming into this country as legal documented workers and handing them the middle-class dream. Right? People have been working hard to have that middle-class dream and raise their families in a good American way. They were brought up that way. And it's about time the American worker stands up and starts fighting against this, because it's happening now. We're having people come into our union right now as documented work. And we have guys coming home from Afghanistan and Iraq that are being denied these jobs.
Mickey, look, I'm going to be very candid with you, okay? You, the American worker, and the union worker, you have been shafted up the wazoo. Forgive me, you've been screwed. You have been betrayed by the elites in Washington, by the Democrats in this state, who come in here. They have been destroying the working class, destroying the middle class, bringing in all of this cheap labor from all over the world, undercutting your wages, stealing your jobs. We have 23 million Americans either unemployed or underemployed. And we're handing out work visas like they're candy? I swear to you, I kid you not, the dear leader, here, I'm looking at a story right now. Do you know how many work permits he wants to give to all these undocumented workers on his own through executive action, through an executive order? 6 million. 6 million work visas. So basically, come on, it's de facto amnesty. Come down, we'll just give you a work visa. Whether we need you to work, not need you to work, whether you're stealing someone's job, whether we even need you in this country, it doesn't matter. Here's a work visa. Now, I ask you, how does this help the American worker? It shafts the American worker. Your wages go down. You lose your job. People are coming in, taking jobs that Americans have always done, traditionally done. The working class is being completely shafted. And they pull wool over your eyes. They throw some sand in your eyes by saying, our enemy is the 1%. No, the enemy are the elites in Washington that have opened the floodgates. Those are your enemies. Laura, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Go.
Jeff, please bear with me. I got several points.
Sure.
Go, Rick, go. All the governors on the southern border should be doing this. My tax dollars at work, $12 million a month, still cheaper than housing and Medicaid and food stamps and everything for these people. 2, mini-me. Wah. 2 quotes. 2 cliches. No atheism full of foxholes. The other one, practice what you preach. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Laura. Well, look, I mean, I've made this point already, but you see, you, the American worker, your child has to go to school with these illegals. Your children are the ones that are going to be exposed to these diseases and to these gangbangers. But not Mini-Me. You love them so much. You've got 77 acres up in the Berkshires. Take them all in, Mini-Me. You hypocrite, you fraud, you. Coming up next, Ted Cruz has a bill that will solve this problem in a heartbeat. And guess who's being denounced? You guessed it. The man with the solution. I've got that story, so much more. Don't touch that dial. 6:30 on the great WRKO. Do you support Texas Governor Rick Perry's decision to militarize the border and send 1,000 National Guard troops? And is it time we do the same thing here in Massachusetts? I say yes. What do you say, Boston? All of your calls next. 6:39 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. 617-266-6868. If you want to be part of the show, you can always text us 680-680. So, my friends, who has been the only major cause? Who has caused this entire crisis at our southern border? It's the dear leader. Who is the one that created the magnet for all of these people now to be coming up from El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, through Mexico with the Mexican drug cartels? The dear leader. In fact, when U.S. intelligence looked at this, when the Drug Enforcement Agency was involved, the FBI was involved, the Justice Department, the Border Patrol, when they interviewed 230 of these so-called migrants, over 95% of them said the reason why they came up was because they were told by the drug cartels, by the coyotes, in the media, in Central America, that Obama was granting amnesty. He is the one that gave temporary work permits to over 600,000 so-called dreamers, illegal immigrant children. He's the one that said, if you get up here, you won't get deported. He's the one that's been saying over and over again, I want a bill for comprehensive immigration reform. Who's ever here illegally will be given a legalized path to citizenship. It's all Obama. In fact, I want everybody to listen to this. This is very important what I'm telling you right now, okay? Trust me. They knew about this last year. It's now come out. The Daily Caller, other websites have now shown conclusively that they knew that this massive surge and inflow was coming, and they deliberately hid it and lied to the American people. And you know how we know that they knew? Because right now, according to the Senate-passed immigration bill, the one that Obama keeps trying to force the House Republicans to sign, in the bill itself, in the Senate-passed immigration bill would create millions of new green card opportunities for non-U.S. citizens. Illegals would be eligible for millions of new green cards in the Senate-passed bill. Do you know how many? Guess what? About 30 million over the next decade. 30 million new green cards, permanent residency, legalized status over the next decade. Do you know what 30 million amounts to? What do you think? Take a guess. What does 30 million green cards, from what countries, how much could you take in? It's incredible. What a coincidence. Every single Central American family could enter the United States legally. Let me repeat that. In the Senate-passed immigration bill, the one that Obama pushed, the one that Obama wants the Republicans to sign, the one that the Democrats keep trying to ram down the country's throat, there are now going to be millions and millions of new green cards being issued to non-U.S. citizens, if it's passed, 30 million in particular over the next decade. That would allow every family member, every family, from Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador, every single one of them would then be given permanent residency in the United States, amnesty. The children is the opening wave. This is the Trojan horse. You get them in, you break them through the border, you house them, you shelter them, you send them around all over the country. The precedent has been established, and then another wave comes, and then another wave comes. The system crashes. Harry Reid gets his way. We have to pass comprehensive immigration reform. You demoralize the country, and guess what happens? Everybody from Guatemala comes. Everybody from Honduras comes. Everybody from El Salvador comes. It's the whole enchilada, baby. This is not an invasion? Are these people insane? No country, I don't care how big, how wealthy, how powerful, can assimilate and digest that many people. My God, they want us to swallow up entire countries. They want to send all of Honduras here, all of Guatemala here, all of El Salvador, basically all of Central America is going to be transported in one massive boxcar, boom, into the United States. And so, this is the source of the problem. It's the magnet. It's Obama illegally trying to push amnesty down the throats of the American people. So, the $3.7 billion doesn't solve the problem. Putting them in temporary shelters, so-called temporary shelters, we know it's going to be permanent, that doesn't solve the problem. Refugee centers are not the problem. Putting them in Cape Cod is not going to solve the problem. Putting them in Chicopee is not going to solve the problem. What's going to solve the problem? Passing a law whereby the president is explicitly forbidden, he is prevented from now granting amnesty through executive orders to all of these people coming in. The so-called deferred deportation. No, you can no longer defer it. You don't have that power, Mr. President. The magnet is taken away. If he can't grant amnesty, then they're not going to come up. There's only one man who's proposing this. Ted Cruz. And who is the one guy that the Republicans are demonizing, the Democrats are demonizing? Ted Cruz. You're holding up the $3.7 billion bill. But what about the deal for the $3.7 billion, Ted? Oh, you just want to make Obama look bad, Ted. What are you doing, Ted? And so on Sunday, he was on Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace, and Chris Wallace kept saying over and over again, I know, but this bill, that's not going to give us a deal. And he keeps saying, the deal won't solve anything. You want to solve it? Stop the magnet. How do you stop the magnet? Cripple Obama's ability to illegally grant amnesty. Check out Ted Cruz in his own words. Roll it, Brittany.
Well, you know, President Obama and Harry Reid both engage in debates divorced from the facts and divorced from the reality. Harry Reid lives in the Ritz-Carlton in Washington, D.C., and I'm sure from his perspective the border seems secure. I would invite Harry Reid to come with me down to Texas and see the border. On the border, we are seeing the opposite of following the law. The border is not secured. 90,000 children are expected to come into this country illegally this year, and Harry Reid says the border is secure. I'll tell you who's holding these kids ransom is Harry Reid and the president, because their view is don't do anything to fix the problem. He mentions comprehensive immigration reform. The Gang of Eight bill is one of the causes of this problem, because what the kids are saying is they're coming because they believe they'll get amnesty. Part of the Gang of Eight bill was promising them amnesty.
They're going back to the hostage taker. Now you're holding the bill ransom. How dare you say the president doesn't have the power to grant amnesty? Come on now. You're just trying to take a swipe at the dear leader. And he's like, what are you talking about? You guys are holding the country ransom. You're holding the children ransom. No wonder Harry Reid says the border is secure. He's right. He does live in the Ritz-Carlton. I covered him for years. Oh, yeah, from the Ritz-Carlton, believe me, everything is secure in this country. But in the real world, where you in Texas at the southern border, it's an invasion. And so the one guy, the one sane man in the room saying, no, we got to stop the amnesty, that stopped the magnet, because they're just going to keep coming. He's the problem. My friends, I'm not kidding. The inmates are running the asylum. And this Saturday, it's time for us sane people to say, we're taking the asylum back. The doctors are back. We're taking it all back from the nutcases that are running our country into the ground. This Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., Saturday, July 26th, at the steps of the State House. Join all of us for the major Stop the Invasion rally. Please show up. Judy, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Thank you very much for taking my call and for organizing this on Saturday. And I was just wondering if on Saturday, if we the people can band together and get a court case against the governor for aiding and abetting criminals, because they're criminals when they come in here. It's illegal, and many of them have done really bad criminal acts, and they are just aiding them, and regardless of what the harm they're doing to us, the people.
Well, Judy, this is just the beginning, and I'm going to be talking to lawyers. We're going to see if we can file something in court. I hate to say this, but something needs to happen. We need to have an incident whereby someone who's just come in from, let's say, a Central American country commits a murder or a rape in Massachusetts. So I don't want this to happen, but if it should happen, I'm going to be talking to lawyers. This is going to be an all-out offensive. We have to take our state back. And what I'm trying to urge all of you is this. If you listen to Mini-Me's press conference, he knows the resistance. He was very uncertain. He's very tentative. He kept saying, well, if this project is implemented, if it's implemented. So he knows he can get wiped out. If we show up in huge numbers, for everyone to see, the news media, Beacon Hill, the political elite, I'll tell you this, Bob DeLeo will have his agents in that crowd. I know for a fact. If they take a gauge of the temperature and they say, whoa, the peasants are really against this one, Mini-Me will be forced to back down. If we show up, people power will triumph. But my friends, we gotta get there in big numbers. John, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Go ahead, John.
Good morning, Mr. Kuhner. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well. You know, this is just another example of the overall embedded ignorance within this liberal mindset. I mean, let's just say they pull this off and they bring these 30 million people who are predominantly Catholic and anti-contraception, because they, according to the census a few years ago, they average over 5 kids a family. They're anti-abortion. They're anti-government because they don't trust their government. They're anti-bank. They stuff their mattresses. So if Harry Reid and Governor Patrick get their way and they bring them here, people like Harry Reid and the governor won't be of any use to them.
John, that's a very, very good point. I never looked at that. That's a very interesting point. John, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Go.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for your coverage on I was wanting to focus on the other end of the quid pro quo. We know it's in it for the illegals, but I have to think that there's a more specific end game for Obama. What he wants to do, I don't really believe he just wants 30 million people here and whatever, let the chips fall where they may. And I want to find out by way of if they were interviewed, if any of these illegals were interviewed as they were coming up at any way along, maybe some of them are honest enough to say, just what were those secret things that were said to them down there.
John, I can tell you this right now. It's an invasion. He knows you bring in 30 million illegals. You destroy America as we know it. You have an incredibly dependent population. You have the Democrats running this country for generations to come. He's going to create a one-party permanent ruling class. A democratic regime for 100 years. And the United States as we know it will be gone. That's the end game. That's the plan. He said he was going to fundamentally transform America several days before his election in 2008. My friends, he said it, and he's doing it. He is Obama the Destroyer. Viva la revolution! 6:53 on the great WRKO. More with your calls. Next. 6:59 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. My friends, coming up next, we're going to continue this discussion. You want to talk about an invasion. You now have Democrats openly admitting that it's an invasion, that in fact the attempt to bring in 30 million potentially from Central America is a form of ethnic resettlement. I swear to you. And that now Hispanics, these illegal immigrants, should, quote, punish the enemies of amnesty. I've got that bombshell story next. Don't touch that dial. 617-266-6868 is the number. 7 o'clock. Let's take it to Angela in the newsroom.
There is no progress on the issue. It's time for the President of the United States to step forward.
7:06 here on the great WRKO and now on 93.7 HD2. Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Kuhner Report. 617-266-6868. You can also text us at 680-680. Amigo. Okay, so to me, this is one of the most despicable men in American politics today. You want to talk about an ethnic firebrand. This is the kind of guy that starts potential civil wars. I've seen guys like him in the Balkans. I've seen guys like him in Eastern Europe. I've seen guys like him in Ukraine. I know the kind. They play, they're hate mongers, they're fear mongers. They love to pit ethnic group against ethnic group. Now, who I'm talking about is obviously Luis Gutierrez. He is a ultra-liberal, hard-left congressman, a Democrat from Illinois. He's also been the point man for the Democrats in Congress on trying to ram through amnesty for the Obama regime down the throats of the American people. You probably see him often. He does the rounds. He's on CNN. He's on MS Left BC. He's on Fox News. You always see him. Well, speaking at the National Council of La Raza, which literally translates to the race. This is one of the big ultra left-wing, hard left-wing, basically almost Marxist, Hispanic activist groups that call for amnesty for every single illegal alien and eventually the reconquest of Mexico of the Southwest. In other words, the annexation of American territory. Speaking at the conference of La Raza in Los Angeles, Congressman Gutierrez said that he had a personal one-on-one conversation with the dear leader. And in that conversation with the dear leader, Gutierrez said that Obama assured him in a one-on-one White House meeting along, and then later with members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. We said it to him personally and to members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus last week that he would be, quote, as generous and broad as possible to stop the deportation. Now, this is the term that Gutierrez said, of our people each and every day. In other words, the president told him, I'm going to be generous, I'm going to be broad, I'm going to use executive action, I'm going to do whatever it is I need to do, but I'm going to make sure that, quote, your people, our people, are no longer deported. And here's what he said at the conference, quote, the president said that he would be as, quote, generous and broad, unquote, as he can to, quote, stop the deportation of our people each and every day, unquote. Quote, you gave us a down payment when you freed 600,000 dreamers from deportation, Gutierrez said. Well, you see, the down payment wasn't enough. So Gutierrez says, now I want the whole enchilada. I want the whole thing. So he went on to say, quote, now it is time for the president in the United States to free the mom and dads of the dreamers and to go further, be broad, expansive, generous. And he said even giving amnesty to these 100,000 or almost 100,000 kids coming across, being dumped across the border, these unaccompanied minors, was, quote, not expansive enough. He wants to give amnesty, he goes, Obama must give amnesty to millions of our, quote, our undocumented. He wants amnesty for everybody. Now, before I get to some of the more other incendiary things that he said, look at how he talks. Our people. Since when are illegal immigrants from Mexico our people? They're Mexicans. Since when are illegal immigrants from El Salvador? Since when or Guatemalans or Hondurans or wherever they're from, Nicaraguans? Since when are they our people? They're illegals. They're foreigners. Now they're ours? Now they're Americans? No, what he means is they're ours in terms of the Hispanic race. You see, the way he views the world is that he is an Hispanic first. He's a racialist. And his racial identity trumps his American identity. He thinks beyond America. For him, all that counts is getting those 30 million from El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras and have them all shipped over here so they all get green cards and they all get to vote eventually. And the cost that it is to non-Hispanics, he couldn't care less. To non-Latinos, he couldn't care less. This man, he's a traitor. Here. What if I address the Ukrainians, the Ukrainian community in Boston? Just think about this. And I said, oh, we're all Slavs. I may be Croatian, you may be Serbian, you may be Ukrainian, you may be Russian, but that's our people. And I want all of them to come down and all of them to give amnesty. All of them should be coming and given a legalized status because this is about our people. And how dare you deport our people each and every day? And the crowd starts yelling. What would you say to me? Jeff, what are you? Are you a Ukrainian? Are you a Russian? Or are you an American? I thought we're all Americans. Look how now we're beginning to balkanize. Look how this guy is already playing off one group against another, actively aiding La Raza, for God's sakes, the race. It's an openly Hispanic supremacist group. It's basically the Hispanic Klan, the Hispanic Ku Klux Klan, who actually call for an independent Aztlán, a homeland, whereby California, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, Texas, what they say lands that were stolen from Mexico, eventually secede from the United States and eventually rejoin the Mexican Union. And this guy is driving immigration policy? This guy has the president's ear? This guy is one of the head of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus? But it gets worse. And this is what I keep warning people about. This is what is coming if we don't stand up now. We're going to go the way of Yugoslavia. We're going to go the way of the Soviet Union. We're going to balkanize and break up, as Pat Buchanan warned in that column just a couple of weeks ago, if we don't wake up. At that very same conference, La Raza conference in Los Angeles, after he told all the Latino community that, quote, Obama is giving us a down payment, unquote, with his temporary amnesty program that halted the deportations, as he put it, of, quote, our people, unquote, his people. He then said this, and every American, I don't care what's your racial background, you blacks, whites, Latinos, Asians, Jews, I really couldn't care less. Pacific Islanders, whatever. It doesn't matter. You should all be aware of this. Gutierrez then urged Latinos to seek retribution at the ballot box. He wants them to get amnesty. 30 million of them coming from Central and Latin America. And then look what he has in store. This is what Gutierrez is now telling people at La Raza. Check. Quote, we need to raise our voices. Oh, by the way, all of this was said in Spanish. None of this was said in English. The whole thing, he's speaking in Spanish. This conference might as well have been held in Mexico, but let that go. We need to raise our voices, make ourselves citizens, sign up to vote, and punish those who speak ill and criminalize children who come to our border. Let me repeat that. He is calling for tens of millions to get amnesty and then get citizenship and then to go out and, his words, quote, punish Americans who are against illegal immigration. Quote, we need to raise our voices, make ourselves citizens, sign up to vote, and punish those who speak ill and criminalize children who come to our border, Gutierrez said in Spanish at that conference. What do you want, a race war? So let me get this straight now. You mean to tell me, Senor Gutierrez, Mexico can protect its borders, Brazil can protect its borders, Argentina can protect its borders, Venezuela can protect its borders. Ask the Chileans, who have a first world economy, how they protect their borders. You think they allow themselves to be flooded with cheap labor, unskilled cheap labor? Oh no, mo patria. No, that's a country. They have a right to protect their borders. Mexico has a right to protect its borders. But if you speak out against the unlimited influx of third world illegal immigration, as I cited just the last hour, over 100,000 known criminal gang members in Texas alone, 5,000 rapes, 2,000 murders, just from 2008 to 2012, people being raped, people being murdered, diseases coming in, gangbangers. To speak out against that is now to be punished. This man is a traitor. But it's worse than that. You keep inflaming people like this. You keep pitting group against group like this. You will see this country break apart. And now you want us to bring in, according to the Senate-passed immigration bill, 30 million green cards you want to give out over 10 years? All of Latin America can come on in? You want to start housing them in refugee camps? You want to put them on Cape Cod? You want to put them in Chicopee? You want to start dumping them in our communities? And then have race baiters and firebrands like him basically calling for insurrection? Basically saying, go out and vote and punish every single one of them that doesn't vote our way. Every single one that opposes amnesty. You get your citizenship by hook or by crook. You vote. If it's illegal, it doesn't matter. You vote. And then you punish every American who's against illegal immigration. This is subversion. A communist agent from the Soviet Union couldn't be more subversive or more destructive or more inflammatory. This is what Obama is unleashing upon us. This is what Mini-Me is unleashing upon us. My friends, diversity is not our strength. That is the biggest myth and lie of multiculturalism. Unity is. That we are one nation, one people, one culture, under God. And these fanatics in the Obama administration, these Democratic moonbats, these lunatics, are now tearing apart at the very fabric of our society. Enough is enough. Luis Gutierrez is a 4-star general of this invading army. And on Saturday, July 26th at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., it is time for the resistance, the patriots of this country, to mobilize and say, no mas, no more. 617-266-6868 is the number. Let me ask all of you this. Is Congressman Luis Gutierrez a traitor? What do you make of his comments talking about our people, and Obama made promises to not deport our people? Does this threaten to eventually break up the United States? Do you fear that this invasion could be the end of America? 720 on the great WRKO. All of your calls next. 724 here on the great WRKO. 617-266-6868 is the number. You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to have Brittany or Cooksey or somebody see if we can contact Congressman Gutierrez people. Senor Gutierrez's people. See if we can get him on the Kuhner Report if he's got the guts. And he and I can have a debate one-on-one. You know what? I'd love to clean this guy's clock and teach him a lesson. Steve, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Jeff, and thank you for taking my call. The Marlboro Tea Party is going to join the Massachusetts Liberation Movement on Saturday. We have one bus scheduled, which is leaving 8:45 from the Solomon Pond Mall, and we will schedule another bus if we get the commitment from the people to join up and ride on the bus with us for about $12. They will need to email today J.R. Belmore, B-E-L M-O-R-E, Belmore, J.R. Belmore at AOL.com. And we will join you on Saturday morning, and we will teach these commies a lesson. Now, Jeff, if you would allow me to make another point, please.
Sure. Go ahead.
Cardinal O'Malley has plenty of space at the dormitories at Holy Cross College. The Roman Catholic Church in Massachusetts is the largest or the second largest private landlord in the state. They have plenty of property where they can put these illegals. And what happened, by the way, between separation of church and state?
Bingo.
What is wrong with this cardinal? He should be defrocked. He is not a man of the Lord. He's not a man of the cloth. He's a man of the Socialist Communist Massachusetts Party.
Thank you for that call, Steve. Look, that's my big fear. Is they're going to look already. Did you hear this? You think it's going to end with 1,000? Now the federal government, Obama, has asked Mini-Me about our empty shopping malls. He says, hey, Because the economy's been so bad, you have unused shopping malls. What are you doing with all these unused shopping malls? Why don't you fill... They're great facilities to shelter and temporarily house thousands of more illegals. So our shopping malls now potentially could be filled up with illegal immigrants. To me, honestly, give them all... Here's what I would do. Since we don't have the money to shop anyway because our economy's so lousy, give every single one of these illegals EBT cards and let them go shop. What the hell? At least somebody's going to be shopping. But I swear to you now, the next request... You see, we haven't even taken these in. And now they're asking to use up the unused shopping malls. Did any of you ever see the movie Dawn of the Dead? Okay, I didn't see... Brittany said no. I didn't see the original. I saw the remake with Vin Rames. I thought it was a great... It's basically, in a nutshell, zombies are taking over the United States. And the few humans left, they actually get themselves into a shopping mall. And they try to keep the zombies out within that shopping mall. That's going to be us pretty soon. I swear, that's going to be us. And I want my EBT. I want my EBT. That's all they're going to be saying. I want my EBT. I want my amnesty. I want my amnesty. And we're going to be like, no. I mean, guys, cut them off at the pass. Hold the back door. Don't let them in. Don't let them in. So, go ahead. Roll it, Brittany. Okay, but I mean, do you have the song? Yes. This says, bring some more into our shopping malls. Give them that beautiful blue plastic. And let them start shopping. Like they recently did in Walmart. Fill up those carts. It's our money, but what the hell? At least somebody's spending it. Because I know I ain't spending. Let's go all together, my friends. In English for now, soon we'll do it in Spanish. Come on, hey, Comrade Juan, let's go together. Come on, you and I want my EBT. I want my EBT. Let's go. Everybody, Kuhner country. Let's go, guys.
I want my EBT.
I want my EBT. I want everything for free. Let the dumb gringo pay. I want my EBT. I want my EBT. Let's go. Come on, Kuhner country. Let's go. Get with it. They're coming to a shopping mall near you. First it's an army base. Then it's the schools. Then it's the hospitals. Then it's the churches. And then right down to your shopping mall, my friend. Bring them all down. What the hell? All 90,000. Let's go. I want my EBT. Comrade Juan, how you are, comrade?
Ah, sí, ese muy bien. Jeff, what Gutierrez doesn't get, what La Raza doesn't get, what the liberals don't get, is they are all being used. This is just another tool in the Cloward-Piven strategy to collapse this country. So you just came X amount of miles to escape hell in your country, to face hell in this country. And you have 350 spoiled kids whose toys are going to get taken away. You would have been better off staying home because you already know poverty. Once you get here and this country collapses and the American people find out what poverty is, whew, it's going to get very nasty. You would have been better off staying at home.
That's very well said. Brilliant.
My casa, your casa.
Mi casa, su casa. That, by the way, that should be our state motto. You know, my home is your home. Mi casa, su casa. Hey, come on down. What the hell? Come into my house. What the hell? Let's go together. Come on, my friends. I want my EBT. I want my EBT. Come on. I want my EBT. You know, I should have been a singer. That was always my true calling.
You're so offbeat.
7:31 on the great WRKO, 617-266-6868. Congressman Luis Gutierrez says our people should all be given amnesty, given citizenship, and then, quote, punish every American at the ballot box who opposes illegal immigration. Are they now setting the stage for the breakup and disintegration of America? Is it time to stand up and say no to this invasion? Your calls next. 7:38 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868. You can text us at 680-680. And I got to tell you, the text line is burning up today. Again, quick reminder, my friends, this Saturday, July 26th, at the steps of the State House, across from Boston Common, Kuhner Country will be holding a major Stop the Invasion rally to protest illegal immigration and the dumping of illegals in our state. I need all of you to show up. It starts at 11 a.m. It should end at about 1 p.m. The mayor of Lynn is scheduled to be there. Shauna O'Connell is scheduled to be there. Leah Cole is asked to speak. She will be there. We're going to try to reach out to the mayor of Chicopee, see if the mayor of Chicopee will be there. We are going to show a united front to stand up to Deval Patrick's attempt to transform our beloved state from Massachusetts to Massachusetts. Please come, bring your family, bring your friends, bring your relatives. My friends, we must speak out now before it's too late. Some very, very, very good texts. Here's from 508. Jeff, what is different about Gutierrez and white supremacists? None. I mean, none. Except one is an Hispanic or Latino supremacist, and the Klan is white separatism. There's no other difference. And nobody wants to cover this ugly underbelly of the pro-amnesty, pro-illegal immigration, open borders movement. No one wants to call out Gutierrez on this. No one wants to expose what Obama's real agenda here is, which is the destruction of the United States of America by bringing in 30 million illegals right across the border. 30 million green cards are now ready to be given out in the Senate-passed immigration bill. Just enough. Shazam. What a coincidence. Every family member in Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. That means all the children can come. All of their parents can come. All of their family members can come. Are they all going to come here? 617-266-6868 is the number. People are telling Jeff, please, this is from 857. Jeff, do not ever sing again. I know I have a horrible voice. I swear. Brittany says you have the worst pitch, the worst rhythm ever. I know. My mother used to tell me the same thing. All right. Bristol County Sheriff Hodgson, Thomas Hodgson, was recently down at the border. Remember, Bristol County is on the front lines of this massive invasion of illegal immigrants. Unlike what you're hearing from the Boston Globe and from Mini-Me and from Cardinal O'Malley and from and from Charlie Baker and from Steve Grossman, and from Martha Coakley, and from Chief Spreading Bull, and from that phony fraud Markula, Senator Markey. These aren't children. Many of them are hardened criminals. They're gangbangers. Many of them are coming in with dangerous infectious diseases. Many are in bed with the drug cartels. And Sheriff Hodgson is trying to warn the people of Massachusetts, you need this like you need a hole in the head. Roll it, Brittany.
The reason they came here was because it was told to them that they could come here, and if they got here, they could stay. Had nothing to do with this idea that somehow they're under great threat. Homicides are down in El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala.
He's completely right. I've been saying this from the beginning. Our own intelligence has been confirming this. Our U.S. intelligence agencies. Violence is down in El Salvador. It's down in Honduras. It's bad, don't get me wrong. But there's no crisis now. It's not like Ukraine. It's not the Gaza Strip. There's no sudden increase in violence in Central America. It's down. As Sheriff Hodgson put it, the reason why they're all coming up, promise of amnesty. Meaning this whole crisis is a self-generated, self-created crisis by the dear leader. Transform America. and do it before the Republicans control Congress in November. That's the game. It's so obvious, the whole world can see it. Mike, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Go, senor.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, Mike.
Jeff, I would urge all our listeners, or your listeners, to contact Senator Ted Cruz's office. After all, he's the only voice in Washington that I've heard speaking out. And they're demonizing this guy. Eventually, he'll be silenced. If, in fact, people even from all over America don't call in support of his efforts. So I urge all the listeners of Kuhner Country, take a minute today, call down to his office, and tell him you support him in his efforts. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Mike. Let me tell you what Ted Cruz's people have told me. Okay, I'm not divulging any confidences. They can't believe. They understood the Democrats hate him. They understood that the liberal media is out to get him. What they're shocked is how they're constantly being stabbed in the back by their own. Mitch McConnell's office, John McCain's office, John Boehner's office. They go, you know who are the ones leaking the worst stuff about Ted Cruz or trying to sabotage him or make him seem like a radical kook? Fellow Republicans. And the reason is obvious. He's the only one speaking out for us. You see, he's voicing the grievances and the concerns and the anger of the peasants. And the ruling class, they don't like it when we have our pitchforks. This Saturday, let's show up with our own political pitchforks. Signs, placards, our feet, our presence, our family, our relatives, in big numbers, the steps of the State House, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., Saturday, July 26th. And let's send a message loud and clear to the criminal elites in this state and across the country. We are not the world's dumping ground. Stop the invasion now. Go home. John, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you, pal?
I'm good. How are you, John?
Yeah, well, I'm like you. I'm not really happy about what's going on in the country as a whole. And this guy Gutierrez, I've heard him on TV plenty of times, and the guy is a complete moron. I call Washington D.C. quite frequently, and meaning the White House and so on and so forth, and issue my complaints. And I told the girl down there, the president's comment line when you call down here, you always get a female on the phone because you really want to lay into these people, and you can't say what you really want to say because they're smart. They got all females answering and manning the phones at the president's comment line. So I asked the lady, I said, let me ask you a personal question. Well, not personal, but let me ask you, when somebody calls in and leaves a comment for the president, where does it go? I mean, do you keep, we dictate these and that, at the end of the day, they ask us at the end of the day what? They wind up where Lois Lerner's emails wind up. Who are you kidding?
Blank you.
But anyway, that's right. But, tell me, who said this? Let me see if you're on the ball here, kid. who said, well, as long as the federal government is footing the bill, and they're going to put these people in Massachusetts on federal property, I don't have a problem with that.
Is that Charlie Baker? Good, Charlie. He's not backing off. I issued a challenge to him yesterday. I said, speak on Saturday. You can say you fell down, you hit your head, you weren't in a right state of mind, you made a mistake, your advisors gave you something, you know what the hell was it, you had amnesia. You say whatever you got to say, Charlie. He's not backing off. Here is an issue, just like Obamacare propelled Scott Brown in the first election to victory. This issue alone, he gets 60% of the vote. All he's got to do is stand with the people of Massachusetts. No, he sides with Deval Patrick. He sides with Mini-Me. I'm telling Charlie Baker is the Yasser Arafat of the Massachusetts Republican Party. He never misses an opportunity to miss an opportunity. It's incredible. How do you blow Charlie Baker should write the New York Times #1 bestseller, How to Blow an Election by Charlie Baker, in 6 easy steps. Mandy, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I listen to your show every day, and I agree with you 100%. And everything that we have done to get their attention, Obama especially, nothing's working. However, I'm thinking, God forgive me, but there is one thing that may get this man's attention, and I'm a parent myself. But if somebody came after my kids, boy, I tell you, the world could burn down, and you'd have my attention. So why don't we start getting in touch with his kids, going after his kids, going after his wife, making sure they know what a destructive person he is, because that might make him stop and think for a moment that we're as serious as can be.
Mandy, I'll be honest with you, I don't think they care. I don't think that the kids or the wife cares about what we think of her husband. They're living the good life. She's the modern-day Marie Antoinette. Let them eat cake. She's their vacation. They're doing another 16 days in Martha's Vineyard. I mean, he goes to golf. I kid you not. The Malaysian Airlines, the plane gets shut down. Over 290 people are dead. He goes right on fundraising, stuffing his face. He had a cheeseburger at some restaurant. He goes golfing. He knows we can't stand him. He knows the country's turned against him. He doesn't care. That's why I call him the dear leader. He's like one of those communist dictators. He doesn't care. So as long as he has his mandarins in Congress and in the media willing to do his bidding, he doesn't care. So it's up to the people. You see, you know what's happening? That's what I'm telling you. Trust me when I tell you this. I'm in my element. We're all Eastern Europeans now. You see what it's like to live under communism? You see how you have to, these political guerrilla tactics? We did it just recently. We did a rally for Justina Pelletier, Kuhner country. We helped free her. Now we're going to have to force Mini-Me to back down. You want something? It's like Eastern Europe. You want something done? You got to go to the square. You got to protest. And have dissident radio like this. And that's it. And you parse through the lies. That's welcome. We're all Eastern Europeans now. That's what communism does. Believe me, I'm in my element. Mike, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, thanks. I got a kind of a secondary idea with this. Look at where they're trying to dump all these kids. In a couple of years, the census is coming back. Whether these kids can vote or not, they raised the population of the state. We lost somebody that went down to Texas, so we only have 9. In a couple of years, they steal that back from Texas. We're back up to 10. As far as congressional seats.
Mike, look, I got to tell you, I think if the Republicans had better leadership, the Democrats are teetering. This is an issue that can destroy the Democrats this election. And what I find incredible is they got a gift from the political gods. And you know what Charlie Baker and the gang are doing? They're flushing it right down the toilet. 617-266-6868 is the number. 752 on the great WRKO. More with your calls next.
Thoughts?
Republican politicians.
Ideas.
Hate and fear the most.
Opinions.
When they're forced to tell the truth.
On AM 680 WRKO.
757 here on the great WRKO. Kevin, you're up next on the Kuhner Report. Go ahead, Kevin.
Is this dissident radio? Good. Keep it a secret. Jeff, there's not too much. I have mixed feelings with Yasser Arafat. He did stand up for his homeland. The man died on Armistice Day, Peace Day, but let that go. What's going on, it's deliberate. I just met a person coming back from the border. They've moved the Border Patrol agents 150 miles away from the border, Jeff. They've taken down the arms of the gates. So let Rick Perry make sure that they can arrest, somehow deputize these National Guardsmen so that they have the power to do and to really exercise that control.
Thank you for that call, Kevin.
You got it.
It's about time somebody's at least trying to do something, unlike our own loser for a governor. Sal, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Hey, listen, Jeff, last week I missed you because I had taken a vacation to America. I was down in Texas.
And how was Texas, Sal?
Oh, actually, I was there for a cold front. It was 78 to 92 when I was there.
Oh, that's not bad.
Usually, like, it's 98 to 100.
No, I know. You can fry an egg on the road in Texas. It's so hot in the summer.
But it's just amazing when you travel to someplace other than Massachusetts, you see the difference in the country, how people feel. And I feel much more at home down there because I'm feeling like them. And I was interested when you talked about the mayor of Lynn, because that's what's happening. It's almost like unfunded mandates. You're going to get these kids, but you're going to have to take care of them. You're going to have to put them in schools, all that stuff.
No, I know. And when she complains that it's too expensive, like today, they're protesting against her. The illegals are going to actually go out there. The activists the Hispanic activists, the illegal open borders activists, are protesting against her for complaining.
Hey, listen, the headline last week in the Austin American Statesman, when I was there the same day that Obama was there in Austin, and the headline was, Obama to the GOP, do something. And I'm thinking, how about the GOP saying the same thing to the president? Do something.
I'm with you, Sal. Can we squeeze in one more call, Brittany? Jay, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Go.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, I just talking on and listening to you on the radio for the last couple of weeks. Hey, I got a question.
Sure.
You know, the NSA is scooping up all our emails and phone calls. So, how come they don't find Lois Lerner's stuff?
Well, that was all destroyed, Jay. The hard drives, the computers, that's in the garbage, Jay. You see, your tax information, my tax information, if we're $5, we don't pay, we're $5 under on our tax bill, what we pay, then they knock on our door. If we're $5 short. But if you're Lois Lerner, it's all gone. It's all gone, Jay. 617-266-6868. Coming up next, Joe Battenfeld on Charlie Baker's stunning decision to back Deval Patrick and the dumping of illegal immigrants into our state. I've got that, so much more. Don't touch that dial.
News at the top and bottom, talk in between.
Executing assigned host duties flawlessly because I can't do wrong.
This is AM 680 WRKO, Boston.